It started with the fridge. Not a text, not a fight, not even a slammed door. Just the fridge. I got home from a long, miserable Monday, the kind where your boss lectures you for something your coworker forgot. Traffic's a nightmare, and your coffee tastes like burnt regret. And the first thing I noticed when I walked into the kitchen was that the fridge was open. Wide open. Completely empty. Like, eerily empty. Not just missing milk or leftovers. I mean gone. Every bottle, every container, every jar. Even the magnets were missing. Who takes magnets? I stood there with my jacket half off, staring inside like it was supposed to tell me something. I looked around the kitchen. No note. No message. Just that weird hum of an appliance that had been violated. So I walked through the apartment. Her shoes were gone. Closet? Cleared out. Her desk? Wiped clean. Jewelry? All taken. Makeup drawer? Empty except for one broken brush she probably didn't care about. It was like she had vanished, intentionally. Like she made sure I'd come home and know, without a single word, that she'd erased herself from this place. And still, no message. No explanation. Just one thing. An envelope. Left neatly on the coffee table, as if I was being served dessert after a rotten dinner. Inside, legal documents. Divorce papers. From a lawyer I'd never heard of. And stapled to the front was a typed letter. Please respect my client's wishes. No direct communication is to occur between parties. All correspondence must go through legal counsel. I'm sorry, what? We've been married for 7 years. And now I'm the other party? She didn't want to talk. Not even text. She didn't even have the decency to argue with me. And I know how this sounds. Maybe I should have seen it coming. Maybe some people reading this will think I'm naive. But I genuinely thought we were just going through a rough patch. We'd had those before. We always got through them. But now I was reading a demand for silence from the woman who used to call me just to hear my voice when she was sad. That's when I did it. I went online. Froze every account with my name on it. Locked down every joint card. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. But I wasn't going to be played like some background character in her solo escape story. If she wanted distance, she was about to feel it. And exactly 72 hours later, she broke it. Not her lawyer. Not a friend. Her. And what she said when she finally called. It turned everything upside down. I wasn't expecting any calls. I'd put my phone on silent after freezing our accounts. I figured she'd just stick to the silent treatment and let her lawyer handle everything. But then, late at night, 3 days after the fridge incident, my phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. No caller ID, just a regular out-of-state number. I almost didn't answer. But something in me said, pick up. I pressed the green button, said hello, and instantly regretted it. Why the hell did you freeze the accounts, Nolan? It was her. No hi. No can we talk. Just rage. Pure, panicked rage. I told you not to contact me, I said, trying to keep my voice calm even though my heart was slamming against my ribs. This isn't contact, it's survival. I had meetings, rent due. My card got declined at lunch in front of everyone. Do you know how that feels? I didn't even know what to say. I sat there, in the dark, listening to the woman who vanished without warning now yelling at me for not funding her great escape. So let me get this straight, I finally said. You leave, serve me papers, demand silence, and now I'm supposed to keep your lifestyle running like nothing happened? She went quiet. That's when I asked the question I'd been sitting on for 72 hours. Where are you staying? Silence again. Not a single breath. I'm serious, I said. Because from the speed at which you cleaned out the apartment, I know this wasn't a sudden decision. You planned this. So where did you go? You don't get to ask me that, she snapped, but her voice was shaky now. Not angry, nervous. That was new. So it's with him, right? I said, and immediately regretted how small and pathetic I sounded. I could feel it in my voice, that gross, needy tone I promised myself I'd never fall into. But it was too late. The words were already out. No, she said, too fast, too flat. This isn't about anyone else. This is about you not knowing how to support me emotionally. Support you? I almost laughed. Is that why you ghosted me like a Tinder date gone wrong? Click. She hung up. I sat there in silence for a full minute, staring at the screen. Then I did something I hadn't done in a while. I checked the shared cloud account we used for photos and backups. She never remembered to log out. And that's when I found it. A folder. Recently created. Hidden deep inside a subfolder labeled work_docs_2022. Inside. Screenshots. Messages. Pictures. Names I didn't recognize. But I recognized his face. Her coworker. The guy she said was just a buddy from the conference. Except there he was, shirtless. In our hotel room. From our last anniversary trip. I didn't even feel angry. Just hollow. Until I saw one more thing. A reservation. Her name. His name. A cabin booked 3 weeks before she moved out. Paid for with our joint account. And that's when I stopped feeling sorry for myself. Because now it wasn't just betrayal. It was theft. And I was done being quiet. After seeing the photos, the messages, the reservation receipt in her name and his, something in me snapped. Not in an angry, table-flipping kind of way. It was worse. Cold. Focused. Controlled. That kind of clarity that only shows up when the illusion finally dies. I sat in the dark, surrounded by the last remains of our shared life. The wedding photo on the mantel, the half-empty bookshelf, her favorite throw blanket still on the couch. And I knew. She wasn't just gone. She had planned it. She thought she could disappear with someone else, take my money, leave me in silence, and I'd just accept it. So I made a plan. No yelling. No begging. No guilt-tripping texts. I logged into our joint subscription accounts, Spotify, Netflix, Hulu, the gym membership, and changed every password. I watched as one by one, devices were kicked out. She tried logging in again. Denied. I even renamed the Wi-Fi network to ask him to pay for it. Petty? Maybe. But this wasn't about being petty. This was about sending a clear, wordless message. You don't get both the new man and the old man's money. Then I contacted my lawyer. Yes, mine. I wasn't going to sit around and let hers dictate the terms. I told him everything. Showed him the documents, the photos, the payment receipt. He asked one question. Do you want to fight or settle? I said, I want the truth in the courtroom. Loud and documented. But before anything legal even began, something happened. She must have realized what I found. Maybe he told her I was snooping. Maybe she saw the email alert from the cloud storage. Either way, she texted me from another number, because I guess I was still blocked on hers. The message? For words, you went through my stuff? I stared at the screen. No apology. No remorse. Just that. Like I had violated her privacy after she emptied our apartment like a thief in the night. I didn't reply. I just forwarded it to my lawyer. Less than 12 hours later, I got another message. This time longer. Panicked. Accusatory. She wanted to talk like adults, saying this had escalated too fast and that we needed to avoid court to protect both of us. She was nervous. She should be. Because I had just finished compiling a timeline. Receipts. Hotel charges. Transfer logs. That cabin reservation with both their names. All backed up. All legally valid. And just when I thought things couldn't get more surreal, I received an email from his wife. That's right. Her lover's wife. And what she sent me shattered the last piece of me I thought I'd protected. Her name was Dana, and I didn't know she existed until that email. The subject line was simple. I think our spouses are having an affair. No greeting. No pleasantries. Just screenshots. Dozens of them. Text messages between my wife and her husband. Some were flirty. Others were vulgar. One, in particular, made my stomach twist so hard I nearly dropped my phone. A photo of our bed. With them in it. Laughing. That's when the denial finally died. Every ounce of doubt. Every small hope that maybe I was wrong, gone. I wasn't dealing with emotional distance or a confused spouse. I was dealing with someone who had weaponized love, who used the trust we built over years as a cover for weeks, maybe months, of deception. I stared at Dana's email for what felt like forever. She had been tracking them, quietly, the way only a woman who's been lied to one too many times can. She said she waited until she had proof. She wasn't just suspicious, she was documenting. Just like I was. I replied, yes. It's her. It's him. I have proof too. 10 minutes later, she called. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Like someone who had cried so hard she couldn't cry anymore. We talked. Compared notes. Turns out they'd been meeting at that cabin for months. One time, while I was at my nephew's birthday party and she claimed to be on a wellness retreat. Another time, our actual anniversary. I don't know what hit harder, the betrayal itself or the strategy behind it. She had spent weeks laying the groundwork. Moving money. Packing a little more each day. Testing how far she could go before I noticed. Dana said she was confronting her husband that night. Not with yelling. Not with violence. Just facts. And divorce papers. That's when I made my next move. I sent my wife. Yes, through her lawyer, just as she wanted, a formal response. It included one line that was mine, personally written and requested to be delivered exactly as is. If you want silence, you'll get it. But you won't enjoy it the way you thought. And then I attached a detailed counterclaim for financial misconduct, misuse of joint funds, and emotional damages, supported by both my evidence and Dana's. Less than an hour later, my phone rang again. Same number as before. She was sobbing. No more anger. No more entitlement. Just fear. Nolan, please. Don't do this. We can fix it. I wasn't thinking clearly. I said nothing. Just listened. She kept talking, blaming stress, her childhood, her therapist, even me. And then she said the one sentence I'll never forget. I didn't think you'd fight back. That was it. That was the moment I knew she never respected me. She just assumed I'd fold, that I'd cry, crawl into a hole, and let her start a new life while I paid for the furniture. She underestimated me. Badly. And the next thing I did would make sure she never forgot it. The morning after her teary phone call, I did something simple, quiet, and final. I changed the locks. I don't mean just the front door. I changed everything. The garage code, the mailbox lock, the Wi-Fi password, even the smart thermostat login. It wasn't about being petty. It was about reclaiming the space she had treated like a revolving door. For weeks, I had been walking around my own home like a guest in a crime scene. Not anymore. I left a note taped inside the door. This residence is no longer shared. Please contact your attorney for further communication. Nothing aggressive. Nothing emotional. Just the kind of cold, mechanical tone she used on me through her lawyer. If she wanted this to be a transaction, I could do that too. Later that day, my attorney filed our official response in court. Dana, her affair partner's wife, filed hers too, at the exact same courthouse. The ripple effect started immediately. He was served papers at his office. She tried to call me again, this time from a blocked number. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The silence she requested was finally being honored. But here's where it gets wild. A week passed, then 10 days. Then out of nowhere, I get an email from her lawyer. A new proposal. A desperate one. She was suddenly willing to forfeit any claim to spousal support. Willing to walk away from the house. From everything. As long as I kept things private. As long as I didn't escalate. You know what that meant, right? She was scared. Not of me. Of the consequences. Of the fact that Dana and I were now legally aligned. And both had enough evidence to make this not just a messy divorce, but a public scandal. Her affair partner? Turns out he wasn't just some coworker. He was a regional manager. Married, with kids, and a spotless reputation. A reputation Dana was very ready to burn. And my wife knew it. She didn't just cheat. She gambled. And now she was trying to fold before the cards hit the table. But I wasn't in this to destroy her. I was in this to end it with dignity, my dignity. She took my trust, my time, my peace. What I wanted back was something she couldn't take, my self-respect. So I sent one final message. Through my lawyer, of course. We accept your terms. But silence goes both ways. If my name ever comes up again, in gossip, in pity, in anything, we go public with everything. No threats, just terms. That night, she showed up outside the house. Not banging on the door, not crying, just standing there, staring at the porch like she couldn't believe she no longer had the right to walk in. And from the upstairs window, I watched her finally understand what real silence felt like. But the story wasn't over. Because 3 days later, someone from her family reached out to me. And what they told me changed everything I thought I knew about why she left in the first place. I hadn't heard from anyone in her family since the split. Not a word. Not even a sorry this is happening. They just vanished like she did. Like I was the villain in her carefully rewritten story. So when I saw her brother's name pop up on my phone, I almost didn't answer. We were never close. Honestly, I thought he hated me. But curiosity got the better of me. His voice was different. No sarcasm. No smugness. Just this strange, weary tone. Look, he said. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but you need to know something. I didn't say a word. Just listened. She's been spinning this whole story like you neglected her. Told everyone you were emotionally abusive, that you didn't care, that she felt unsafe. That hit me harder than I expected. I mean, yes, she'd ghosted me. Yes, she used a lawyer to block communication. But telling people I was unsafe? That was a whole different kind of betrayal. But then he added something else. I didn't believe it. Not really. So I stayed quiet. But now, after what Dana's been saying, after what came out about the money and the cabin, man, it's not adding up. And you know what pushed me over the edge? I waited. She tried to drag our mom into it. Told her to cut you off too. Said you were dangerous and had a history of controlling behavior. Our mom didn't even know what to do with that. And honestly, I think she's losing it. That's when it all clicked. She didn't just want freedom. She wanted to be the victim. She wanted to rewrite the narrative so that she could walk away from a stable, boring marriage and leap into someone else's bed without consequence, without guilt. And to do that, she had to invent the reason she left. Something darker. Something that would make people sympathize instead of question. And suddenly, it all made sense. The lawyer letter. The demand for silence. The immediate blocking. The avoidance of confrontation. She didn't want to face the truth, because the truth didn't make her look good. Her brother told me something else before he hung up. She's unraveling, man. You didn't deserve any of this. Whatever happens next, just don't let her rewrite the past. I thanked him, then sat alone for a long time. Because what do you do with that? How do you process the idea that the person you loved not only betrayed you, but tried to smear you just to justify it? That night, I went through our wedding video. Not to punish myself. I just needed to see the woman I married and remind myself she was real once. That I wasn't crazy for believing in her back then. That the version of her that exists now is something else entirely. But I wasn't going to wallow. Not anymore. Because the next day, I received a message from someone who hadn't reached out since this all started. Her mother. And when I opened it, I realized the fallout had only just begun. It came through Facebook Messenger of all things. I hadn't spoken to her mom since the last Thanksgiving we hosted. The one where she spent most of the night whispering on her phone outside while I pretended not to notice. The message was short, almost formal. No emojis. No warm opening. Nolan, I'm sorry for everything. I had no idea until recently. Can we talk? I didn't answer right away. I stared at it for 10 minutes, trying to read between the lines. Was it bait? Guilt? Another attempt at control? But something told me to call. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to hear a single voice from her side that wasn't scripted or fake or filtered through legal language. When she picked up, she sounded tired. Older than I remembered. Not cold. Not warm. Just worn out. I should have seen it, she said. She's been doing this for years. Not the cheating, I mean the lying. She lies when she's scared. She lies when she wants out of something but doesn't want to look bad. Her father and we covered for her for so long. Too long. I didn't know how to respond to that. What do you say when someone's mother admits she's known her daughter is like this for years and still said nothing? She told us you were controlling, that you isolated her. She told us you screamed at her, that she felt afraid in her own home. I believed her. I didn't even question it. I felt my chest tighten. That word again. Afraid. She had used it like a weapon. A single word designed to make sure no one asked deeper questions. It wasn't just betrayal. It was character assassination. She lied to our faces, Nolan. She took your money, your kindness, and turned it into some kind of prison in her head. And now, she's in pieces. Her mom told me something else, something that made everything even darker. Apparently, her affair partner's wife, Dana, had sent copies of everything to her entire family. Every message, every photo, every reservation receipt. Not to be cruel, but to make sure they knew exactly what they'd been defending. She cried for hours when it came out, her mom said. But it wasn't guilt. It was embarrassment. She kept saying over and over, I didn't think it would fall apart this fast. That's when I realized she had been planning to leave me, but only when her new life was stable. She wanted me to be her safety net until he was ready. But when Dana detonated the truth, the whole backup plan crumbled, and she was stuck in limbo, exposed, without a fall cushion. Her mom sighed. I just wanted you to know, some of us see her clearly now. I wish we had sooner. I thanked her, but it felt hollow. Too late. Too much damage already done. But hearing that someone from her world had finally pulled the mask off, gave me something I hadn't had in weeks, validation. But the real twist? That same night, I got a text from a number I hadn't blocked. A new one. Probably her attempt to slip under the radar. I messed up. Can we please talk? No name. No apology. Just that. She was crumbling. No more lawyers. No more fake silence. And I knew, deep down, she wasn't reaching out because she loved me. She was reaching out because her new world had collapsed, and now she was looking back at the one she destroyed, hoping it was still standing. But I had one more move left, and it would be the one she never expected. I stared at that message for a long time. I messed up. Can we please talk? She didn't even sign her name. Maybe she didn't need to. Maybe she knew I'd recognize her tone, the desperation buried under those 5 words. But what struck me most wasn't the timing. It was the motive. She wasn't reaching out because she wanted to make things right. She was reaching out because everything she gambled on had gone up in smoke, and I was her last familiar lifeline. But I didn't reply. Not because I was bitter. Not because I wanted revenge. I just didn't need to anymore. The silence she once demanded had turned into something else, something mine. It had stopped being a punishment and started feeling like peace. Real peace. In the weeks that followed, the divorce finalized. Quietly, cleanly. Her lawyer folded fast once ours presented the paper trail. She didn't ask for spousal support. Didn't fight for the house. She walked away with what she came in with, and nothing more. I let her go without dragging her through the mud, even though I easily could have. I didn't want to win. I wanted closure. Dana and I kept in touch for a bit, mostly to share updates on the case. But eventually, even that faded. Her life moved forward. Mine did too. One night, I sat on the porch with a coffee in hand, the same porch she once stood on, staring at the house she used to call home. The wind was quiet. My dog snored at my feet. And for the first time in a long, long time, I smiled. Genuinely. I started traveling again. Something I used to love but stopped doing because she hated airports. I took a solo trip to the Pacific Northwest, hiked trails I'd only ever seen in photos, met people who didn't know my story, who just saw me as a guy rediscovering his life. It felt good to be anonymous. Not someone's husband, not someone's ex. Just me. And funny enough, that's where I met Harper. She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't complicated. She asked questions and actually listened to the answers. We didn't jump into anything fast. I wasn't ready. But over time, what started as a conversation on a rainy trail turned into dinner, then laughter, then something steady. No secrets. No silence. Just honesty. Looking back, I think I had to lose everything to understand what kind of peace I deserved. I spent too many years trying to be enough for someone who had already decided she wanted something else. But now, I don't live in fear of being left. I live with the freedom of knowing I let go of someone who was never really holding on. She might have left through a lawyer, but I moved on through clarity. And honestly, that's the best ending I could have asked for.